With that, we'll move on to somewhat of a smaller topic a little bit. Sin, there was something that you wanted to talk about in regards to, of course, there's been conversations about reffing, and it kind of intertwines to everything that happened with Brady Tkachuk. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, we'll start off with what happened in the Red Wings Kraken game, because holy crap. And I can't find the link for it, but I'm sure you can find it. Basically, a Kraken player, I forget who it was at this point, in the defensive end, there's this cross seam pass looking for like a one-timer. He threw his stick, legitimately threw his stick, and knocked away the pass.
That's
bad enough
right
to go without a call, because you just disrupted a scoring chance. Now, what happened after that? The Kraken come back the other way. Beautiful outlet pass. It's good pass. Can't take it away. To send a dude on essentially a breakaway, and he scores. No call on throwing a stick, which is such such an obvious thing. Like, to me, like, a guy throws his stick. Honestly, if someone if I don't know how it's not called. Like, I'm losing my fucking mind, because the toss of the stick is so obvious. It disrupts the pass. If you're a ref, you're looking at the play. You're looking at what's going on with the puck. You see this. You have to see this. And then it leads to a goal back the other way, which leads me into how the NHL is still in some way trying to manage games and have not too many calls or whatever, try to make things even and blah, 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 blah. Well, hey, you're still failing on that, because in the Buffalo Sabres Ottawa Senators game, in the last 5 minutes, Brady Tkachuk fights Alex Tuch after what could only be described as them each both getting their licks in on him. Brady Tkachuk failed to clear the zone, took a shot at Alex Tuch's head with his gloves connected. He comes back around. Alex Tuch lays his hip into him and topples Brady Tkachuk over, who didn't have the puck. Neither one of those are called, by the way. And so Brady Tkachuk gets up, throws his gloves off, and does a cool, like, it almost looked like if he would have been Steve Austin if it was the middle fingers. He did the, like, come at me, bro. And so they fight. I won't talk about, everyone bitching and moaning about maybe Brady punched him while he was down or whatever. So Brady Tkachuk gets the automatic 1-game suspension for the instigating or fighting in the last 5 minutes. The NHL just announced that he will not be suspended. They are rescinding that suspension. Okay. Here's the problem. Darnell Nurse was suspended for 1 game in the playoffs for fighting. Was it Haig or White? Doesn't matter. He fought someone on Vegas who was more than willing to fight. And that suspension held. What the fuck are we doing? Like, why have the rule if you're able to rescind it? And why choose these weird things where both of these, you can argue both of them should have been rescinded. So why was one only rescinded? And moreover, why was the one in the playoffs the one that wasn't rescinded, considering how much the NHL doesn't want to make an impact on the playoffs? Well, they did. And they're like, oh, well, you got to make it even because that one guy got suspended for lumberjacking Draisaitl. No, he should have been suspended for that. These are 2 different fucking things. And yet, the NHL just continues to shoot themselves in the foot by doing this weird dance of trying to not have a big impact on the game, and they have an impact. Detroit gets scored on because fucking the Seattle Kraken yeeted his stick at the puck, knocked it loose, disrupted their scoring chance. They went back and scored the other way. And Brady Tkachuk broke the rule of fighting in the last 5 minutes. First one with his gloves off, made come over to him and stuff like that. And I don't know. Like, so what's the point of rules if we're not going to enforce them? You are not a fucking sports league if you're doing this. Unserious. Absolutely unserious. I think it's a dumb rule, but if it's a rule, then enforce it. And don't just, like, spot pick when you're going to enforce it.
Sin for the win, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot disagree with anything you said, right? And it's, we talked about kind of the continued patterns of like, all right, betting in the game and everything like that. This is the continued pattern of not just the NHL, but it feels worse in the NHL for whatever reason. It just does. Like the NFL, in terms of the idea of like, oh God, referee game management and stuff like that. You'll see it with roughing the passer calls every week. Like it's bad there. Maybe it's just because we're so hockey centric on this side of things. But what was it last season? They're like, yeah, we're going to crack down on slashing.
It was cross-checking, wasn't it? Or was it?
Yeah, it might have been both. And it lasted like 10 games, and then they stopped.
Hey, they brought it back for the beginning of this season, by the way. They were really calling cross-checks. But we know that's going to go away because that's just what the NHL does.
What can you necessarily even say about it at this stage where it's just, how screwed up it is, how nonsensical it is, yet for whatever reason, it's just the accepted status quo on the NHL's behalf, not from the fan base perspective. Like, I don't know a single NHL fan that's like, yeah, I think they're doing a good job. I haven't heard that ever once, at least not sarcastically. I know I've said it sarcastically in the past.
But now they're making sure you just don't yell at the refs.
I guess, is that what it is?
Well, like that's all they give a fuck about, really. Like, called in all the coaches in the offseason. I think we talked about this and told them, hey, stop yelling at the refs. Like, are they trying to blame the coaches yelling at the refs for everyone being pissed about the refs? Like, is that how detached from reality the NHL is? They think fans are emulating the coaches and the fans don't see. The fans can't see this. Like, these are the most glaring things. And again, it's officiating plus the league. Like I said, that's how it ties into the Brady Tkachuk / Darnell Nurse type thing. If you don't really enforce it well on the ice or consistently on the ice, and you don't enforce it consistently off the ice. So, like, what the fuck are we doing here?
I don't think they know. That's the thing. I don't think they know. And it comes back to, and I always have this quote like on the back burner of my mind at this stage. And it was from an old episode of the Steve Dangle podcast where they said, best sport, worst league, hockey will be great when it's a finished product and we know what the sport actually is. Because we don't know what the sport is because based on the officiating.
Tremendous quote.
Based on the officiating.
That's what it's like being an NHL gamer too.
I was about to say. I mean, the league reflects the game.
Trash.
It reflects the game 100%. No wonder why they've signed on how many years in a row now? Jesus Christ.
The game that you watch on TV is different on a nightly basis. Mm-hmm. The video game you play is different on a nightly basis. It's just crazy to me, right? It's that idea of like, cool, you never, in the worst way, you never know what you're going to get when you watch that product. And then we all know the rules are different come playoff time. And now it seems like in a lot of ways, it's like, all right, what are the rules for the regular season? We don't really have to follow those, do we? Guidelines. What it feels like at this stage.
Hockey's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Jedi.
Oh, goodness. Cyn, anything else that you had from I don't want to call it a tangent because that has like a negative connotation. I very much enjoyed that. Anything else to add?
Not really. I was blown away. Just really, like, mostly because of the whole Red Wings thing. I'm just like, bro, like, it's just I just want to reiterate once again, that's the NHL's biggest problem. How much they try to stay out of the way, they actually get in the way, and it needs to stop. Players will adjust. We've said this before. Call the fucking rules. Players will adjust. Look back to after the 05 lockout. Players adjusted.